We can get analysis on this with David Marples. He's a professor of Russian and East European history at the University of Alberta and joins us from Edmonton, Canada. Professor, welcome to the program. Why do you think that Russia has carried out these attacks at a time we've seen more ceasefire talks in the last few months trying to bring an end to this war?
I think Russia stepped up its attacks over the past few weeks in the hope of gaining more territory in the east and terrifying the Ukrainian population to the extent that they want to bring an end to the war above all things, and to bring Zelensky to a position really where he has to give up territory to Russia. And I think the Americans are probably thinking something along the lines as well after the obvious failure of the discussions in Alaska, which really so far have achieved nothing. But it's hard to know, where this might end, how Putin can be persuaded to come to the table, what possible incentives or even, if you like, threats can be made against Russia that will bring Putin to the table. I think it's possible to make some, but so far neither the Americans nor the Europeans, are in a weaker position, have come up with anything really to intimidate Russia.
So Russia then, you would say, is not intimidated by possible new sanctions that the United States or the EU could impose, because, as you say, it seems that Russia is just trying to gain as much territory in the east as it possibly can to push Zelensky's hand. Do these latest attacks do that, and future attacks in a similar vein?
Well, I think, for Russia, sanctions don't really frighten it very much as long as other countries are buying Russian oil and gas. And at the moment, China's taking up the slack from the Europeans, and India is also playing a major role in buying up Russian oil and gas. So the economy maybe has had a few slips, but it's not suffered tremendously. It's not really suffered to the extent that Russia would be persuaded to come back to the table. What is needed, I think, is some deadline, some firm deadline from the Americans in particular, that if you don't come to the table, if you don't agree to a ceasefire, then we're going to give Ukraine everything it's asked for. We're going to possibly put troops on the ground. We're going to send heavier weapons. We're going to encourage Ukraine to attack Russia in response to these horrendous attacks that are happening in Ukrainian cities. I'm not sure that Donald J. Trump is the president to do this. And in fairness, neither was Joe Biden. So far, none of the American leaders in recent years have taken up a really strong position against an adversary who really has to be pushed, because Putin will not listen to diplomatic ideas. He will never back down. And at the moment, there's no reason for him to back down. He's getting what he wanted, albeit with huge losses to his troops. But nevertheless, he is in a superior position at the moment vis-a-vis Ukraine, United States or Europe.
Is there anything that Europe and European leaders can do now to pressure Putin? They expressed outrage about the damaging of an EU building in these strikes in Kiev. And if this was actually done deliberately by Moscow, what kind of message are they sending to the EU?
Well, it's really one of contempt. They're not seeing any challenge here that will prevent them from doing this kind of things. It's deliberately provocative. And then, to have the gall to complain that Ukrainian drones are attacking Russian cities. I mean, what do they expect the Ukrainians to do? The Europeans, unfortunately, are not in a situation right now to offer a strong stance, but they could be if this war goes on, say, another 3 to 5 years, and they have time to build up military resources to the extent that they could effectively replace U.S. weapons being actually sold to Ukraine right now. Ukraine has to buy U.S. weapons. The Europeans may actually be prepared to donate weapons if they have enough and if they can manufacture enough over the coming years. And I think that probably will happen, because I don't see any incentive for Ukraine to stop fighting right now. They're only going to lose territory if they do. And the longer they can hold out, the more chances they've got of retaining the land that they had back in 1991, or, as you probably should say, in 2014, when the Russian invasion started, 11 long years ago.
Professor Marples, great to get your analysis and insight. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.